Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra, that's Jarvis, and we appreciate you guys for being our ATL Day Ones as well because you guys have us over 2,500 subscribers for the Locked On Sports Atlanta network, and you guys keep on coming to every place that you get your podcasts so that you can, when you download them, give us a 5-star review. We always appreciate you for that because when it's a 5-star review for us, that means the math is mathing, but the math ain't mathing for DeAndre Hunter right now. So we
Whew.
start with John Collins, kind of taking a look back, right, Jarvis? Because
Mhm.
we know that that was another situation where the Hawks couldn't quite come to terms with John Collins ahead of the season, and that kind of dragged on, if you will. Now they're facing a similar challenge with DeAndre Hunter. According to sources, Hunter and the Hawks, they haven't really made much progress. In fact, in terms of a 4-year contract extension, they're about $20 million apart. And you might look at somebody like Keldon Johnson, who at that same position recently got an extension worth $80 million in total from the
Mhm.
Spurs, right? And you're thinking to yourself, that might be the measuring stick when Hunter and his agents are looking for what he's supposed to get. And when you think about him, at the end of the day, and I've always said this, I rock with Dre hard. I've always
Mhm.
said, even last year, I kept saying my mantra was wait until Dre comes back. Wait until Dre comes back. When Dre comes back, because when he is healthy, he is the second best player on that roster. Obviously, before DeJounte Murray came aboard. So that, we have yet to see what he's going to do. But ultimately, Dre has been the second best player since Dre has been on this team. But like you said, Jarvis, 53 games due to injury. So you don't get to see how good he is across 82 games. So do you think this holdup is about that? Is it about injuries or is it about the level of talent, cap concerns? I mean, what do you think it is?
I think it's a combination of two things. I think
Mhm.
one, definitely injury. The injury concern has to be there. Like this is the front office we're talking about. We're talking about Travis Slang. We have to think like that. They had to play a little hardball in order to get John to come around. Like, hey man, you ain't worth no max deal, but here's a deal that is very comfortable to your skill set
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
today's game. So one, the injury, and second of all, I think it's a matter of consistency, right? Like
Mhm.
you have to go on the court, when you're talking about how you pay and how much you're going to pay these
Yeah.
guys, over a certain period of time. And I think that, when Dre has been out there, he still has been a little up and down,
Mhm.
so even when he's not been injured. So I think that that's one of the reasons why I believe wholeheartedly that this report is true. Like, I know
Mhm.
John Cherkin makes a lot of jokes about the blue check mark media being wrong from time to time. But yeah, I think they might be a little bit on to something with this one because if you're talking about $20 million over a 4-year time span, right? So I'm trying to do. We said we're gonna do the math, right? I'm doing the
Mhm.
math in my head. So they probably want to pay him maybe 16 mil a year. That's what I'm gonna go ahead and make that assumption. And I think
Mhm.
that,
Yeah. Right.
of
Yeah.
course, Dre and his people probably want to be closer towards 19, 20,
Right.
which is totally understandable because you
Mhm.
talked about Keldon Johnson, for the
Right.
Spurs who got what 4 years and 80 million, like you mentioned. So I
Mhm.
think that's something you know that you want to kind of go off of. And I know I haven't even heard of Keldon Johnson. Like, who is that?
Yeah. I mean,
You
like
know
I
what I'm
had to
saying?
listen
So
twice when I heard the name. I was like, "Oh, Keldon Johnson." Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
like,
Yeah, you're
okay,
right.
okay, yeah. So I understand both sides, right? So I
Yes.
understand Dre, like, hey
Mhm.
man, look, I was a number 4 overall pick, so it's a reason why you drafted me. So like, hey, I want to be paid, you know, um, in
Beautiful.
that light, so in that
Yeah.
manner. So, but I think that a good number for him though,
Mhm.
to kind of just put it in perspective, I think 18, maybe 17,
Yeah.
$18 million. I think that's a good number to kind of settle, meet in the middle on. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think that you should pay him 20,
Right.
but I don't think 16. That's kind of seems a little low in my end.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what my thoughts are on that when we come back on the other side of Jarvis telling you guys about Blue Nile.
Blue now, like, okay, so we're talking about money, right? I like talking about money, especially when you're talking about giving me some. Wait, pause for a second there. But Blue Nile is the company that you should think about when you're trying to find that special moment. You're trying to find that right ring just for your mate. If you're looking for the fine jewelry but have been having trouble choosing, right? Blue Nile
Mhm.
has jewelry experts on hand 24/7. They're available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at your budget, whatever you're trying to spend. Because you know what? We know that you're up late at night struggling, trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for this ring, how I'm going to get this ring. You know how you can do that? Because just for you, this is a podcast exclusive, Locked On Sports Atlanta exclusive, just for you. You can make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com and Locked On Sports listeners. Here's what it is. You're going to get $50 off purchases of $500 or more, and you use the code Locked On. That's the code Locked On plus just for you, so you can have peace of mind as this bad boy gets shipped your way. Every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever peace. Go to BlueNile.com today.
And I'm going to use one word that you used in your description about Blue Nile, and that's available. And the best ability of any player is his or her availability. So when it comes
Indeed.
down to
Yes,
that,
Lord.
yeah, so when it comes down to it, that is the biggest challenge that you have to overcome with Dre. And so, in my opinion, I do agree with you that 18 mil seems right about right, because when I think about OG Anunoby and the fact that he's around that same number, or I think about Duncan Robinson, who kind of comes in sometimes as a starter for the Heat, but other times as a strong contributor from the bench. And, technically we know that he kind of plays a little bit in the guard forward space, but still he's officially listed as a small forward. Those
Right.
are individuals who I feel like DeAndre's level of talent and his level of play are right there.
Yep.
But the difference is when you look at OG and you look at Duncan, you're not looking at the same number of injuries, the same number of games missed across the same span of time. And that's kind of where that challenge is. So you know what I would do if I were the Hawks? I would go ahead and make it incentive laden. If he wants to get to 80, well, you get to 80 based on your play. That could be number of games, that could be production within games, however you make it an incentive laden contract. But I think that's probably, and also the middle ground, in addition to what you said about the 18 mil, the middle ground would also be, we can get you to 80, but here's how you need to get you to 80. Now, the other piece is this. Of course, with so many positive things going on with the Hawks this offseason, we hope that this can be taken care of before the beginning of the regular season, right? But do you think if it doesn't, that it will in any way impact Dre's play or the play of the Hawks overall?
I don't think so, because when you think about it, at the end of the day, he has to be a pro, because and then also, like, what if he goes out and balls, plays the first 30 games of the year, and you're 30 games in, he's averaging 18, 7, and 5. Like, all right, now, let's go and get that 20. I need that. So I think it benefits him, and that benefits the Hawks as well, because they have that money when they draft people in certain positions. They draft guys with the intent of saying, okay, I'm gonna have to probably pay this guy max money, especially when you're talking about a top 5 pick. Sure. So I think that if he goes out and balls and has that mindset, hey, I'm gonna prove to these guys that I'm about my money. I wanna win, and I wanna ball out on the court, and I wanna prove it. I think both parties win in that particular case. And Dre is not a guy that we've seen to be a distraction. Like, you barely even know he's around sometimes because he doesn't really talk like that. So I think that, given the personality of Dre and what's at stake for him professionally, I think that I don't foresee any issues with this one going forward.
Yeah, same. And
if they're able to get a deal done,
I agree with you as well. And speaking of offseason moves, front office style, we are seeing a familiar face come into the front office for the Hawks, and that is Kyle Korver. And man, you want to talk about somebody who's a friend to the media. Wow.
Everybody loves Kyle. Everybody loves Kyle. Everybody loves Kyle.
Kyle has just a really broader worldview. He reminds you a lot in his worldview of a Steve Kerr. Right. So I think he's an exciting and a necessary piece to the puzzle of the front office, coming in as a director of player affairs and development. And what he's basically going to be doing, and this is literally a quote from the Hawks, is developing these individual plans, whether it's for individual players, staff members, coaches, etc., And I love it because he has so much experience, 17 years in the league, 5 of them with the Hawks. And like you said, one of the most beloved Hawks, even though that was just, a third of his career, but everybody loves him. And I think when I look at him, and, he was another one who's technically listed as a forward, but definitely played more guard forward on the guard forward side than
Mm-hmm.
anything. I
Right.
think that can be very powerful. Speaking of DeAndre Hunter, as we were just talking about, that could be a powerful influence for him. But as someone who played a lot in that sort of guard space, I believe that can be really a benefit and an add for Trae Young and DeJounte Murray as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like, yeah,
Talking about the
specifically,
newer guys, the younger guys.
right,
Tyrese Martin.
exactly, and specifically for Trey because
Yes.
working that off ball situation,
Ball
right,
is,
and that
off
I think
ball is
that's going to
huge.
be amazing for Trey. I think
Mhm.
he's going to be a sponge, when it comes to Kyle Korver
Yeah.
because him running off screens is like you almost barely see that type of play nowadays. It
Mhm.
seems to like a little bit more one-on-one type situation, but in Trey's, I think he's going to be vital to Trey's development.
Mhm.
And before we get out of here, T, you know me, man. Like, I got a devil's advocate. It's kind of boiling in my stomach. When I get something feeling in
Okay.
my spirit, I gotta tell you, right?
Okay.
Do we see this being things don't work out for Nate? A Lloyd Pierce type situation, and Kyle Korver getting his first opportunity to be head coach of a professional basketball team.
I don't. I don't. I
Okay.
think that no,
All
not
right.
at
I just need
all.
to ask. I
Yeah,
just I
because
just
he.
needed to
Yeah.
ask. I
Now
had to get it
you
out of my.
said,
I had to get it out of me.
yeah. That might be a super duper stretch because if you had said Nick Van Exel is interim, I probably would have nodded and said,
I
yeah,
like
now
Nick.
that could
I
be a
like Nick to
viable
quit.
possibility.
Yes.
Yeah, no question, because Nick did an amazing job with Summer League. He's really, really good at working with these younger players, and they have a lot of respect for him because of all the success that he had in the league. So
That's the key.
my mind would go to a Nick Van Exel first. But on the same token, I would not be shocked if Kyle Korver at some point, whether it's with the Hawks or another team, moves from that front office to the sideline. So definitely down the road. But I think Nate is at least safe from Kyle. But okay, there's that Nick Van Exel thing. Anyway, when
Uh
we come
oh.
back, we'll talk a little bit in For the Culture about a trip that may be a safe bet for some people, but maybe not for others, and a celebration of a legend. It's all on the other side in For the Culture right here on ATL Day One.